Hi, welcome to my channel. This is where I talk about my journey from transitioning from my tech career to my therapist career. Currently, right now, I have a full-time job in tech and I also go to school for a counseling degree on the weekends. And today I wanted to talk about why I only applied to one master's program. So it actually took me a long time to decide that I wanted to apply to a program. I actually had to talk to a professional coach that was through my company and walk through why I wanted to go to school and things like that. And it was a really hard decision because a lot of these schools are like 80 plus to 100,000 K plus for in total of how much the tuition would cost. And so it's a lot of money. So I really wanted to make sure that I was making the right choice. But anyways, after I decided that I was definitely going to apply to school, I realized that I needed certain criteria to figure out which schools to apply to. So my first criteria was that I could keep my full-time job. That meant that my classes were either going to be in the evenings, on the weekends, or asynchronous. And so that actually cut down quite a bit of local programs that I was looking at, and a lot of the name brands would actually have programs that allowed me to still keep my job. My second criteria was that the tuition was going to be less than $100,000. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the first criteria. I was very worried about my financial security during I was going to school. And so that's why I also wanted to keep my full-time job. And I also wanted to be as little in debt as possible. And so I just didn't think that paying over $100,000 for school would be worth it for a profession where people aren't going to be looking at which school I go to when they choose a therapist. Most people don't look at where the therapist went to school to decide if they're going to work with them. It's really more about the relationship that you have with the therapist and maybe some other factors. But school really usually isn't one of the top criteria that people look at. So I just really didn't think it was worth it to pay that much money. The third criteria that I was looking at was that it was something local. And that was really important to me because I thought that if I went to an institution that was in my area, they would have more connections to private practice counseling or internships or talks, and they just had more of a footing in my area. So that was also really important to me. I thought it was going to be hard to go to a school that was across the country, and then I would have to navigate what kind of internships I wanted to go to and what the reputation was of these things. So I just thought it would really help me if I went to some place that was local. So I had these three criteria, and with all of those, I shrunk it down to one. There was only one school that actually fit all of these criteria. And so I was actually okay with just applying to one school because I didn't want to budge on any of the three criteria that I had. And I just want to point out that doing the research to figure out what schools fit my criteria was actually really hard compared to researching for undergrad. And I don't know what it is. There just really wasn't that much information online that helped me figure out what schools even are available. And so I had to go into each website, I had to go look into the tuition, I had to go research, and sometimes I even had to call them to figure out if this was a hybrid model, how often I needed to go into the course, if people took it outside of the state or outside of the region. So it was a lot of actually research and time I had to take up front to figure out what types of programs that I actually wanted to apply to. Anyway, so after I decided that there was one program that I wanted to apply to, it was really fast after that because I actually decided that I wanted to do this in the fall and I had to apply by the end of the month or by winter. So I had 3 to 4 months to prep my application. There was a writing section part of it. I needed referrals and there was also an interview. So I had to prep all of that, and at that point I actually felt pretty good about it because I felt like I was taking a step towards the career that I wanted to go. So it kind of eased my stress about making a decision. Is this the right path? Because at this point I wasn't fully committing to go to school. I was just applying and seeing if this was something that still felt right for me. So it was actually a good process for me, and I think slowly I was realizing, oh yeah, like this is taking time to like write the application, do the research, but like this is time that I'm willing to spend on like pivoting just a little bit towards my therapist career. All right, bye.